All right, today we're going to do a oil change on a 2017 Nissan Maxima. So these are the tools you're going to need. This is optional: impact wrench. You're going to need a ratchet, breaker bar, torque wrench, channel locks, screwdriver, some towels, jack stand, a jack, and then the appropriately sized sockets. So for the drain plug on the Maxima, you're looking at a 14. For the key on the locking nut is a 13/16, and then the actual regular lug nuts are all 12 millimeters. Those are all the tools you're going to need. Like I said, the impact is optional. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to jack the car up. Now on the Nissan Maxima here, the oil filter is actually right behind the passenger front tire. So I've got it on a slope for a bit. One, because the road is really uneven here, and two, so that way when we jack up this side, we'll pull the tire off, we'll drain it, pull the filter. We're going to get as much of that old used oil out of it because it's at an angle. And then we're going to throw a new filter on it and fill up the oil, and that'll be it. So we want to get our jack under the car, but you want to make sure you have it in a nice position where you're not going to jack it up and you're going to go straight through the floorboard. This is my backup jack. I have my usual jack is a long reach, so we're able to get way up under there. But if this is the type of jack you have, it can work easily. But you want to get up under here. Let's see if I can't show you. And you want to get it right on that rail there, because this is a strong point for the jack. This is where like a scissor jack for in your trunk would go and things. So we're on a nice strong point. We're going to jack it up, and you want to go slow because you want to make sure that you're not going to have any issues and whatnot. So yeah, that sounds good. And you want to go just until that tire's off the ground. Okay, that tire's off the ground. Now we never want to trust just the jack. We're going to get a jack stand, we'll put it up under there, be nice and safe, but we're going to keep the jack there as our backup, but never use your jack as your primary. All right, we have our jack stand, and we're going to put it up under here, so that way we're nice and safe. Because you do not want this to come loose while you're underneath the car or working on it or something crazy. So we want to put it on this point right here. We don't have enough clearance, so we need to jack it up a little more. That should be enough. Right. And then keep it long ways. You see the rail here goes long. So put that jack stand like that. Now we're going to drop the jack real slow. Be careful. You never want to drop the jack fast. These old jacks, they like to go down fast like that. That's why I like my new jack. It's a lot safer, in my opinion. Okay. So we're just going to pressurize that jack a little bit. So now we have primary, and then the jack is the secondary. Next, we're going to get this wheel off. So this lug nut right here has a lock on it. So you got to use a special key, which is this, and it fits on here a certain way. There it is, locked into place. Now this key is a different size than all of these other lug nuts, so you're going to need two different sockets. So we have our socket right here. Never use the impact wrench on a key like this. You will strip it out, and bless your heart, good luck getting these lug nuts, getting that key lug nut off. So what you want to use is the breaker bar here, and I'll show you that in just a second. So like I said, you never want to use the impact on a key. Get it locked up, and boom. Nice, easy, get that going, and that lug nut comes right off. All right, now we got that key out. We're gonna use impact, get the rest of these bolts out. Okay, make sure you set these all in a place where you're not gonna lose them. Just set them to the side here. For those of you wondering, it is a 21 millimeter for the standard lug nuts, and it was a 13/16 for the key. Now we're just gonna pull our tire off. We'll set it to the side. All right. So now we need to pull this panel off, and there's a panel underneath that we're gonna need to pull off, and we're gonna use a flathead screwdriver for that. So now we wanna take our flathead and just pop it right behind these little things and kind of work your way around until they come loose. They're a bit of a pain, and don't worry if you break them, because you can get them on Amazon pretty cheap. They make a special tool for this, but I know most of you at home, like me, only have just a screwdriver, and it gets the job done. And sometimes these can be real pains. There it is, pulled it out. We'll do this one. That one's a lot easier. We have two down here. It is. It's really hot today, old Florida. Now we have the pan out. We can see we got our Wix filter there. The Wix is the best. There's another pan underneath that we're going to need to get to next. So now under the car, we need to remove this pan, and there's a trick. They want you to take the whole thing off. We're not going to do that. We're going to undo that clip. We're going to do on this clip and this clip, and we're going to fold this piece all the way around. That'll give us plenty of access for the drain pan to get to that drain plug, and we save a lot of time doing that. I hope nobody shows up in this parking lot today, because I am blocking a lot of people. But it is early morning. I'm sure these Harbor Freight jack stands are perfectly safe. I'm just kidding. They're not Harbor Freight. They're 40 years old. And see, just pulled that piece right out of the way. Bring you up under here. Let me show you what I see. All right. Right there, if I can properly get you in frame, that is our drain plug. So we're going to undo that after we get a drain pan under here, and we'll be halfway done. Our drain is a 12 or 14 millimeter drain plug, and let's stop shaking you everywhere. Let's just set you down so you can kind of see what's happening. So we got our drain right here. Don't worry, I'm just cracking her loose. We're not. So make sure it's on that lefty loosey setting, or else you'll have a problem. Oh my gosh, she's stuck. Nope, she's not stuck. We got our drain pan nice and situated. And you want to do this when the car is scalding hot. Kind of like where you gotta really duck your hand. Make sure you get out of there before that scalding oil gets you. It's like any day now. Okay, don't hit the exhaust. There it is. All right, we're gonna let her drain. Quick tip, they sell a lot of different types of drain pans and whatnot. I really like this big giant tub style. I've tried all the other ones with like the grates and stuff and whatnot. This big tub style works great. You just save your oil jugs and then put the old oil in there, take it down to O'Reilly, you're good to go. So that's kind of a little quick tip. I really like this big green one. I think I got it on at O'Reilly or something like that. So now she's done draining, I guess. Oh no, she's still draining. I just can't see. This is what I like about the big tub. Now, when we drain this filter all over the frame rail, because you know, engineers are geniuses, all that oil is going to go in here, and we'll just set that Wix filter in here. It ain't going to hurt nothing, just setting her in here. And unscrew her. Oh, that felt tight. Let her leak, you know. Just let her down. And this applies to any type of car and whatnot. The Maxima, they felt like putting the oil filter in sideways right behind the tire because, you know, they're geniuses. But this is honestly the fastest and easiest way I found to do it. I'm sure other people have done it other ways. But pulling the tire off, it doesn't take much time at all, and it gives you so much more access. So just keep unscrewing that filter. And you're going to want to look at your filter before you dump it into that giant pool of oil. We want to make sure that that O-ring is still on there, because sometimes they come off, but we can clearly see that black O-ring is right there. And we're just going to set you in there. We'll get some rags. We'll clean up all this, and we can get some fresh oil filter on there. And then we just put her back together. Last step, we'll top her off with oil. All right, we got her cleaned off. Don't worry about that little bit of oil that's left over. It's not going to hurt anything. Once we get the new filter on, we're going to clean this rail off again, because you don't want oil everywhere. You want to do a good job. This ain't no quick lube or something like that. So we'll get that new filter on. So we got our new Wix filter. It's the XP one. And we're going to I run my filters for 7,500 miles in this car. I drive all highway, it's all interstate driving. So I don't have an issue with doing a 5,000 mile oil change or whatever. This engine has 161,000 miles on it. So I do the oil changes probably a little sooner than most people that do my type of driving, but it's okay, it works for me. So what I'm doing now is putting a little bit of oil on this O-ring here. We want to make sure it's oiled so that way, it comes off easily when we screw it on. We don't want this O-ring to seize to our engine. And then two, is so that way we can easily unscrew the filter when we go to do the next oil change. And for the oil today, we are using the Valvoline 5W20. That's what it called for in our owner's manual. This is the high mileage flavor, and I bought this one for no other reason than it was the cheapest one at O'Reilly's today. Now, if this was a car where the oil filter is going straight up into the car, we'd fill it with oil all the way to the top. This one is obviously sideways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it halfway. I'm going to rotate it. We want to get that filter, elements, all that stuff full and kind of soaked. So that way it's giving us a better chance than just a dry start. We don't want to do a dry fill there. So we're just gonna fill her up to that neck. I'm just rotating, letting it fill, giving it time to soak into the elements and everything. Maybe give it a little shake, whatever you fancy. And it doesn't take much. It's not a lot of oil. It's a little bit, and we still got some in the middle here. So we're just really just rotate sideways until you're nice and good. So now we got, at least it's somewhat primed compared to another one. And then right before we screw her on, let's get another good wipe down in here on that frame before we can't reach it no more. And get that little bit of oil off. Make sure there's no dirt residue and everything. I know we get most of that off when we do our initial cleaning after the filter. Let me bring it in here so you can see. We're just going to screw it on. It's still half filled. Now, don't use a wrench. Just hand tighten it with your oiled hand. It's good. It's fine. Don't mess with it. If you tighten that thing down, you're going to have to put a screwdriver through it or a special wrench that goes onto the bottom of here. You're not going to have a good day. So just hand tighten. It's fine. It's not pressurized like you're thinking. So that's that. We're gonna get this pan out of the way, put that drain plug back in. Just get that drain plug finger tight, or not finger tight, but just wrench tight. Don't break it now. And then put those flaps back on here. It's this reverse order will just pop right in. We got that all put back together. Drain plugs in, bottom pans up. Next thing, we just got to put the tire back on. So now we want to put our tire back on. Just wheel her up. This is one of the reasons why we don't want to have this jacked up so high, because we got to lift this tire back on here. This is a pretty light tire compared to like something like the Jeep or anything like that. Just grab yourself a lug nut, get it started. Okay, so once you have them all started, we'll take our impact wrench, and we're not going to do what you're thinking. We're going to turn it down to the lowest setting, and we just want to tighten up all these lug nuts, because we're going to go back in with the torque wrench once it's on the ground so we can tighten up all these nuts properly. You want to make sure you go in a star pattern, just so that way everything is evenly pressed on. Like I said, we are using the lowest torque setting on here. We don't want to overdo it. Okay, that's good enough. We're going to drop her down, and then we'll torque it. Now we're going to torque it down to 85 foot-pounds. Let's tighten her down. Okay. Let's start with our keyed one first. Put it in. Just go. Simple enough. Now we're gonna undo the oil cap, fill her up with oil. Sometimes these can be pretty stuck, so just use some channel locks and get her open. All right. Throw your giant funnel in. We're just gonna fill it up with all 5 quarts, because why not? They didn't want us to put all 5 in, they wouldn't give us all 5, you know what I'm saying? I like this big funnel because, you know, this big makes life easy. Don't let her get too high though, because, you know, she could fall out and you'd have a fun day. All right, let's let that settle on in. Now we're going to dump this old oil into this pan here. We'll take this oil filter though. And I got myself a oil filter bucket. So do this nice and slow, because you don't want to make a mess, because I will end up making a mess anyway. All right. Cap that off, take it down to O'Reilly or AutoZone, whatever, and get it recycled. So now what you want to do, everything's done. You want to turn the car on. Make sure we don't have any warning lights. Just have maintenance, doors open. Good. And you want to climb out of the car. And you want to just do a quick visual inspection, make sure you don't have any issues going on. Everything's looking good, nothing crazy. Want to look under the car. Not seeing anything, no oil. We can close the hood. Then we want to reset the oil, or the maintenance. That's real simple. We just go over here to settings, and that little alarm on the dash, that's for windshield wiper fluid. Just go to maintenance, oil filter, hold, and reset. And you're all done. That's it.